Well, good afternoon and Happy New Year. It's 2023, even though this is 2022 Witterings. Sorry about that, but some things got in the way. I think you probably realise that. Here I am in its 10th, which is day 22 for me, and I went negative on day 10, but I've been taking it kind of easy. I have had a short walk every now and again, and then every time I do, I'm exhausted for the next 2 or 3 days. So I'm taking people's advice and taking it easy. There seems to be quite a common experience. Another good thing about today, apart from just it being slightly warmer, it's 17 degrees, is that my cough seems to be on its way out, so I'm very thankful about that nasty fruity cough which everybody has had. But it seems COVID experience here in China is a bit different from the UK. According to the Zoe Health study, fever comes so low on the frequency list, it's not even in the top 20. But here, everybody gets a fever. Yvonne and I were up to 38.5, and we had hoped that maybe her mum and dad would escape it, because they only started suffering 3 days after us, and we think we got it from our home help, who comes in the evening to cook us dinner, and she'd been away for several days, and came in on the Monday and looked a little flushed, even though she was wearing a surgical mask. That night both Yvonne and I had fevers and started feeling terrible. But so we have the air filter on in the living room on 24/7 anyway, so I switched it on full blast as soon as we started to feel poorly, and it was only 3 days later that Ma and Pa came down with things. And so I think that delay must have been because the air filter was dramatically reducing the virus in the air. But they still came down, still got a fever, and got coughs. Except for the odd hour or two, Yvonne's mum's oxygen was fine, and we have a oxygen concentrator, and she wore that if it dipped down to sort of 86, and then within an hour it would have been brought up to 98, so that's pretty healthy. But over the next week or so she hardly ate or drank a thing, and I think the lack of fluids really knocked her for 6, and she dehydrated, and so eventually Yvonne thought, we really need to contact the ambulance, and they came around after 20 minutes and whisked us all off to a nearby hospital, and thankfully they were able to admit it straight away. So okay, it was into a corridor for 30 minutes, but they immediately gave her oxygen and a drip, and after half an hour she was admitted to a mini ER ward where she was hooked up to monitors and so on, and later that day was given a CT scan which revealed pneumonia, so she was whisked off to a proper ICU ward where she's been since. Now she is thankfully making a little bit of progress. They were very worried by her heart, and she has a heart condition, and at 91, you know, that's no small thing. And for the first 2 or 3 days in ICU, her heart was very slow and irregular, and I'm sure, having been dehydrated, that must have caused further concern about mini clots and so on. But the last couple of days she's got a little bit stronger, and the surgeon is hoping that if this continues that they might be able to move her to a normal ward and out of ICU. I have talked about giving her a pacemaker, but that's in abeyance until she's maybe in an ICU ward, or maybe later after she comes home. We'll wait what the medics decide, but we're so thankful that she is getting a bit strong. She's not out of it yet, but we're so grateful for people's thoughts and prayers for her. For someone 91, getting COVID is not a joke. Thankfully, her husband is the same age. In fact, it's his birthday later on this week. He's looking a lot better, both in colour. He's still coughing a bit, but he says he's feeling stronger. But he did have the full sequence of jabs a year or so ago, which Yvonne's mum was declined. That the medics at the time thought her heart condition and the vaccines were possibly more of a risk than COVID. But at the end of November, with cases rising, Yvonne went to have another discussion with the local clinic, and they agreed no, it was probably wise to give her her first jab. But unfortunately you need 2 months apart and then a couple of weeks before you get the full benefit. And of course she caught the dreaded bug after only about 10 days after her first jab. So there we go, we're just watching and praying for her every day, and I'm just so grateful to many of you who've been thinking, sending healing thoughts and prayers up for her. Bless you, thank you so much. So, well, this was supposed to be my annual Witterings, so what am I going to witter about this year when we hardly done anything? We haven't been away, no trips away. Our last trip was about October 2021. Our Chinese life assurance policy offers us a free 3-day trip once or twice a year, which is very nice. And a year or so ago we went to Suzhou, which is quite close to Shanghai. I had a very nice 3 days. But apart from that, this year we've just had a couple of days out with friends, 1 day out with our singing class. Not far, just across the river into the woods and the slopes of the mountain. But very nice to get out, and Yvonne always finds a nice restaurant so we can indulge for the lunchtime and the evening meal. That was very nice. Our last time out was middle of November, which was the last bit of socialising we did. After that, with cases rising, we stopped going to singing classes. In fact, almost everybody in the class stopped, even though it was officially still going ahead. Out of a class of 50, only 3 men turned up. Just 3. So I doubt we'll be going back to singing classes for until the summer at this rate. And things have just so exploded here since the beginning of December. By the end of November, after 3 years, we still didn't know a single person who'd been infected. Now, by the middle of December, every single member of our wider family is infected. Here in Beijing, IHME, and they suggest that maybe by April times of maybe 1 million people have died. Now that's compared to just over 5,000 a few weeks ago. Oh God, oh God. So Changsha and China is catching up on the rest of the world. So we haven't been anywhere, just the odd day out. We have been singing, but that's gone. We haven't been socialising for 6 weeks now. We have been trying to get out into this beautiful little park which is right next door to us, and getting our exercise there until we got ill. Hopefully in a few days time I'll be able to resume my normal sort of 4 laps or 3 kilometres, which is supposed to be very good for me. Yvonne insisted we got a bit of exercise back in March last year, since we weren't doing anything until then. So she's fitter and stronger than I am, and she goes roaring off at high speed and does 7 laps the park, and I just stick to 4, which is enough for me, being a bit older. Ha! There we go. So what else can I talk about? Nothing much. Oh, the cats are wonderful. We got our first cat within a couple of days of arriving here, a gift from Shufang, Yvonne's daughter, and I become a crazy cat man. I love them to pieces, and I'm absolutely besotted by them, and every night it's quite common to have 3 or 4 in our bed. Jack always sleeps beside Yvonne. Chile always likes to sleep on my chest, and then there's Mowgli and Miss Peepee find another square on our bed somewhere close. Peepee PP and Mowgli are our two latest, and they are bosom buddies. They're always together. They love one another. It's great to see. It's interesting. They're 7 and they're all so different. Only Mowgli and PP are really friendly with each other. The others sort of get by with each other. Jack and Chili are brother and sister, and they basically hate one another's guts, which is probably not unheard of. But they sort of tolerate one another, and Chili and Yoda terrorize our other latest one, Miss Coco. I don't know why they don't like her, but Coco has to defend herself, and as a result spends most of her time in our bedroom, where she feels a little bit safer and away from the others. That's a shame. She's a sweet little thing. Yeah, that's the cats. Friends. Oh, friends. 2 dear friends passed away last year. Back in March, Tommy, who we knew for about 12 years, we met because he also married a Chinese wife, and a good friend, Sean, whom we known for, I'd known for almost 40 years. Such a lovely man, wise, heart for the poor, worked in housing in Haringey. Lovely, lovely man. Just every time I think of it, it's hard to believe he's no longer with us. Miss you, Sean. Miss you, Tommy. Yeah. Just looking around, it's just so nice to have this park right on our doorstep. It's in the grounds of the Hunan Provincial Education Department, and our block is built on their land, so there's a link between us. And the Education Department have a canteen that serves wonderful Chinese food, lunchtime and evening, pretty much 365 days a year, so really, really handy if we don't feel like cooking. For free, because we're part of the Education Department land, we get a monthly allowance of £40, which we can spend in the canteen, and they've also got a little shop, so we can use it there to buy sort of hardware things, soap, oil, cooking oil, and so I think they even have a few beers, but not the ones that I like. Not the ones I go for, but just so handy to have this right on our doorstep. And being a government body, Education Department, they while they're doing mass testing in the city, 2 or 3 times a week they would have testers come, so wouldn't even have to walk more than 5 minutes just to get a test. There we go. If this turns out to be the end, well, I wish you good health above everything else, joy and peace, and may 2023 bring you something wonderful and new and unexpected, not the shit that we've had in the last few years. Sorry about that.